WebWeave Nexus. One story becomes the foundation, infinite formats, endless returns. Every successful media company begins with a single intellectual property that becomes the foundation for something much larger. For WebWeave Nexus, that foundation is basically done. Not the final product, but the first asset in a long-term enterprise strategy. The novel was intentionally developed to support a premium 50-episode series, creating a foundation for decades of future storytelling. Because we own the intellectual property outright, we retain complete creative control while preserving the long-term value of every expansion. That's how long this story has been in the making. 25 years, not 25 years of writing, 25 years of carrying something, of turning it over, of setting it down when life required it, and picking it back up because it wouldn't leave. Most stories don't survive that. They get abandoned, talked about at dinner parties, and never finished. They live in a drawer, and eventually the drawer gets cleaned out. This one didn't. One story, one vision, one independent creator. Written as a trunk novel, with companion stories branching from its roots, basically done as written, edited, published. Book 1 of the Basically Done saga. The soundtrack is composed, recorded, and streaming on every major platform. A series is in development, structured hour by hour, episode by chapter. This is not a concept, it's a finished work, on shelves and on streaming, with a body of original music built around it. And everything that follows begins here. There's an old idea in publishing that a book is the finish line. You write it, you print it, you hope it sells, and then you start the next one from nothing. We don't see it that way. A story is a world, and a world can be entered from more than one direction. The same story becomes an audiobook, so it can be heard on a commute or a long drive through the kind of country the book is set in. The soundtrack becomes an album, so the feeling of the place can exist on its own, without a page in front of you. Conversations about the work become a podcast. The work behind the work becomes a documentary. Short films and visual pieces carry fragments of it to people who will never open the book at all. Live events turn an audience into a room full of people who already know each other. And Cedar Knob Nexus turns the story into a place you can stand in. Each format reaches an audience the others don't. A reader may never listen to a podcast. A listener may never open a book. Someone finds a song and follows it back to a chapter. Someone else watches 3 minutes of video and orders the novel that night. Different doors, same world, and everything they find there connects. A single conversation recorded once doesn't have to stay a single conversation. It becomes an episode, a video, a dozen short pieces, an article, a newsletter, a thread of ideas that keeps circulating long after the microphones are off. That isn't volume for its own sake. It's the recognition that the effort of making something good is front-loaded, and its value shouldn't stop the moment it's published. Most media businesses do the opposite. When a title stops selling, they start over, renting attention month after month, and owning nothing when it's gone. We build differently. Every completed work stays in the library, and the library keeps working. A reader who finds the novel this year can find the soundtrack, the podcast, and the series after that. New work brings new audiences. Those audiences discover what already exists. Engagement becomes revenue, and revenue funds the next production. The cost of reaching each new person falls as the catalog grows, because the catalog does the reaching. That's the difference between spending on attention and building something that earns it. Growth like this isn't a straight line. It's a wheel. Content creates discovery. Discovery builds trust. Trust becomes community. Community generates revenue. Revenue funds the content that starts it turning again. The first rotation is the hardest. You publish into silence, building for people who haven't arrived yet. But the wheel is heavy, and heavy things hold their motion. Every rotation makes the next one easier. Reach compounds, recognition compounds, and the audience you earned last year is the audience you begin with this year. Momentum starts to replace effort. Then something else happens. The ecosystem stops being a plan and starts being a place. The novel brings readers. The readers become listeners. The listeners become a community. The community fills a room, then a retreat, then books a lodge in the mountains where the story is set. Media becomes hospitality. Hospitality becomes memory, and memory brings people back to the story that started it. Each expansion begins with an audience that already exists, which lowers the cost and risk of everything that follows, extending naturally into hospitality, live events, education, memberships, licensing, and commerce. As the library grows, brand recognition strengthens, audience loyalty deepens, recurring revenue expands, and the underlying intellectual property continues to appreciate. From an underwriting perspective, this creates a highly efficient enterprise. Capital invested once continues generating value across multiple revenue streams, distribution channels, and operating businesses. An integrated enterprise where every asset contributes to cash flow, enterprise value, and the strength of the balance sheet. For underwriters and long-term capital partners, that means diversified collateral across multiple asset classes, multiple recurring revenue sources creating predictable cash flow, broader market resilience through industry diversification, appreciating intellectual property, strengthening the balance sheet, and hard assets, real estate at Cedar Knob Nexus, providing downside protection. What makes this project different isn't any one product. It's the ecosystem. One creator developed the novel, the music, the media network, the destination resort, and the AI-assisted content strategy that connects them all. By combining creator-owned intellectual property with modern technology, WebWeave Nexus shows how today's independent creators can build integrated media enterprises once possible, only for major studios. In a crowded world, that story stands out. WebWeave Nexus is a network on every major streaming platform, launched entirely by one creator and built to open that same distribution to independent creators everywhere. At its center is the WebWeave universe, a storytelling ecosystem where the same characters recur across multiple stories, always true to a single canon. A single scene can serve as the setting for several stories converging at once, characters crossing paths who may or may not know one another. Our canon system tracks every character down to every second of screen time, so audiences can discover them fully. And WebWeave will grow into an opportunity for hybrid actors, real performers stepping into character participation, guided by an ethically grounded approach to AI-based character development. A generation ago, an integrated media enterprise, books, music, film, television, a physical destination, required a corporation, a boardroom, and a great deal of other people's permission. Those gates are open now. Distribution is available to anyone. Production tools that once filled a building now fit on a desk. What hasn't changed is the story itself. Tools don't supply that. Neither does technology, and neither does scale. Someone still has to care about a world enough to build it and keep building it for 25 years. Ownership matters. It means creative control stays where the story came from. It means the work isn't a product line to be discontinued when a quarter comes in soft. It means the world can keep growing for as long as there's something true left to say about it. WebWeave Nexus isn't an entertainment company. It's a creator-owned enterprise, a portfolio builder, a flywheel, a blueprint for the next generation of creator-owned media. One story became a novel. The novel became a world. The world is becoming a place people can enter, return to, and belong to. And it's basically done. One story, infinite formats, endless returns. The gatekeepers are basically done.